Tom Downey here for NFL Daily. Today we're taking a look at some of the top 2025 NFL draft prospects who could go number one in the upcoming draft. It's CBS Sports' list. I think it's pretty interesting. That's why we're doing it. I'll give some thoughts on it positively and negatively and mention some other names that I kind of feel like should be on this list. So who do you think will end up being the number one pick in the 2025 NFL Draft? I know it's a long way away. Things will change. Who saw Joe Burrow, Travon Walker being number one picks in their class? Although we did all see Caleb Williams coming. Who do you think will be that top pick? Let me know in the comments section right now. The first and only offensive lineman on this list from CBS Sports, this is Chris Trapasso, is Will Campbell, the LSU offensive tackle. No complaints whatsoever about him being on this list. I thought he was awesome last year for the Tigers, part of one of the most fun offenses to watch. They had so much electric playmaking, and the play of Campbell was a big factor in that. He didn't get beat very often as a pass protector, and he was also a very good run blocker. In general, number one pick is normally a quarterback, if not offensive lineman or pass rusher, whether that's interior or exterior, is how the top pick normally ends up going. No complaints with Campbell at number 10. In a not very well-regarded quarterback class, Drew Allar checks in here at number 9. On one hand, you go, wow, 29-2 touchdown to interception ratio. That's really good. Yeah, he also completed under 60% of his passes and wasn't actually that productive. And part of the argument that was pitched here, by CBS Sports was, he played really well outside of a bad game against Ohio State. I go, well, yeah, but that's kind of like one of the two tough games he played all season long. I don't think it's fair to just totally be dismissive of the most relevant game for him. It's not to say that one game is the only game to view, but I don't think you can just go, we'll ignore one game altogether. Like he completed 42% of his passes, 42 attempts for 191 yards last year against Ohio State. He also was terrible against Michigan. And there were 2 games last year he had under 100 passing yards. He had 1 game over 300. That was the first game of the year against Western Michigan. It's not very good. I like to do slanderous comps. They're fun, not meant to be taken fully as accurate, but it's funny to do. Tell me why this isn't Gen Z Christian Hackenberg. Great size, solid arm, Penn State quarterback, not very accurate. I don't think it's that far off base, actually. Number 8 is Jalen Milroe. Now, this is an electric playmaker. You love big plays on third down. You love deep balls. You love mobility. Jalen Milroe offers all of that. He also holds the ball way too long. The time to throw for Milroe is insanity. And if the first guy's not there, there's a lot of struggles that happen. He has a ridiculously high pressure to sack percentage, or sack pressure percentage you just can't have. Because, it's not interceptions. You take a sack on 2nd and 7, your drive's in real trouble. If he can learn to just get the ball out quickly, or quicker at times, and not just be kind of a big play merchant, he could absolutely be around 1 pick. So will a quarterback in a not great class be the number 1 pick in this upcoming NFL draft? Y for yes, N for no, the pinned comment of today's video. Donovan Smith, number 7 here. Now, going with a Houston quarterback, who is this? He's got size. He's a big guy. He's got some arm strength. It's really good. The production hasn't been very good after transferring from Tech to Houston. He's 6'5", 240 listed size there. He had a ton of rushing touchdowns this past year. Cam Newton was mentioned in this piece, and I'm like, that's getting a little bit out of control there. This was pitched as the out-of-nowhere quarterback, and I get that. If Smith takes a significant jump forward in a lot of the actual passing things I think he needs to be better in, sure, there were some very positive games for Donovan Smith last year. Some really intriguing, okay, I see the upside there. I see the arm strength, the mobility, the size, the traits are very impressive. He played pretty damn well against Texas. And he was dog water against Kansas State the very next week. Seriously, he went from 378 passing yards and 3 scores against Texas to 13 of 28 for 88 yards against Kansas State. Stability is needed at that spot. So if you get the Texas guy, okay. If you get the sub 50% completion guy that happened multiple times last year, maybe not so much. Number 6 is Abdul Carter, the linebacker / edge from Penn State. I don't hate this. There is upside. He kind of played edge linebacker hybrid. You're going to get the Micah Parsons comparisons are actually probably better for him than they are for Harold Perkins, who we'll talk about briefly later on in today's show. Really great pressure rate. I think there's going to be a big-time season coming. Now, pressure rate is also a bit deceptive when you're playing some off-ball linebacker. You see that number normally be a lot higher because they're just higher quality reps. But I don't mind him being 6 on here as an underrated defensive piece. Number 5 is Quinn Ewers out of Texas. Look, the production is really impressive. He was awesome against Alabama. It was the one game his deep ball was impressive, but there's not consistency concerns here for me, man. Look, footwork is personal. And if your footwork if the results are good, I don't care much about the footwork. For example, I can't stand Aaron Rodgers' footwork. It's really weird and unique, but it works for him. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. But when your deep ball success is terrible and your footwork is ugly, I think it's the footwork issue. I am not in on him being a first-round pick right now unless we get college football quality deep ball results. And you had 2 top 50 picks at receiver, Burners, A.D. Mitchell, and Xavier Worthy, and you weren't getting good deep ball success? Like, you were getting bad deep ball success? That's a huge red flag for me. Arm talent's there. I need to see more consistency. So will Quinn Ewers be a first-round pick? 1 for yes or 2 for no. The 2 there intentional. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I'm blown away by this one, to be quite honest. It is Jordan Burch out of Oregon. Now, this is a freaky athlete. And he was the number 4 Feldman Freak List athlete last season. He's got great size, great length, great athletic ability, and it is all a massive projection. All right? Like, there is actually nothing on the film in the production that says, yes, first-round pick. Not right now. He had 3 sacks last season. In fact, he had, in his last 10 games, 0 sacks. I don't think you can be a first-round pick, let alone a number 1 overall pick with that level of production. They mentioned Travon Walker in this conversation of freaky athlete, great size. Walker had better production than that. By the way, Jordan Burch will be 24 years old as a rookie in the NFL. He is not even a year younger than Travon Walker, who's been in the NFL for years. So if Burch has a breakout season, I think we can have that round 1 conversation. But older one-year wonders at pass rusher normally don't go number 1 overall. I think there are some other front 4 players to watch. I think if you want to talk about freaky athlete, projection upside, I think Micah Williams makes way more sense for that. Plus, Dane Brugler had him going number 1 overall, and I feel like that should merit conversation, at least in the top 10, right? I'm a big fan of Mason Graham. Deion Walker's a Jordan Davis-type athlete, I think. Nick Scorton had great production from Purdue, now at A&M. Burch at number 4 was, frankly, wild to me. And not just me, by the way. PFF does not have him in their top, 150. Number 3, Shedeur Sanders. I don't think this will surprise many people. Sanders has, I think, very good accuracy. When the ball's out quickly, things are normally pretty good. The pressure to sack rate, look, the offensive line was bad at Colorado. It was bad. The pressure to sack rate was still too high. That means Sanders has to be better from that perspective. We can have the conversation about the last name and how that might negatively influence him, I suppose, closer to the draft. Sanders will be in the Heisman conversation if Colorado wins games. That's going to put him in the top pick conversation. But they got to have more success than they did this past season. Now, if you love the NFL like we do, awesome. Come to the right spot. Hit that sub button for more free NFL videos. Number 2 is Carson Beck. Now, there are pros and cons here. He's a very accurate thrower. He does a great job of distributing the ball My biggest concern for Carson Beck is he's special. He's pretty accurate, big game experience, production, good age, checks off a lot of those boxes. There aren't elite physical traits. There aren't any negative physical traits either. But, his completion percentage was pretty good. The A-dot was fine. There's a lot of fine there. With Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey now off to the NFL, if Beck can elevate some of those supporting cast members, I think there's some talent there. He would have been maybe a second-round grade for me had he come out somewhere a little bit ahead of Bo Nix, I think. But this quarterback class is not well regarded right now. In fact, if there were a Drake May, a Caleb Williams, the Jaden Daniels that we saw and knew that he was going to be that guy, he, of course, came a little bit out of nowhere, Beck would not be in the conversation of those same guys. The bad quarterback class could very well push him up into that top pick conversation because teams need quarterbacks. Otherwise, regimes get fired. Who is your favorite QB in the 2025 NFL Draft? Maybe it's not even a name mentioned. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Number 1, and I like this pick, James Pearce out of Tennessee. Length is there. The athletic ability is there. He can bend a little bit. Took a massive step forward from 2022 to 2023. He had a really, really great pressure rate that is normally pretty sustainable year over year. It'll probably drop this year if he can showcase some more run stopping. He wasn't always a massive, getting every single rep player. And I would like to see him add some mass to his frame. I think he's kind of skinny, and skinny guys don't always go super early in terms of round 1, but I think he's going to have a dominant year in the SEC as a pass rusher. I loved what I saw from him last season. Other guys I want to mention here, at least briefly, Will Johnson out of Michigan, Kelvin Banks out of Texas. Banks, I think, is not that far behind Will Campbell. Johnson, Benjamin Morrison, Travis Hunter are all great corner prospects. Hunter's a legitimate round 1 wide receiver prospect and a round 1 corner prospect. That's freaky. It's insane. Connor Wigman's got hype. I don't see it, frankly, but I've been wrong before. Luther Burden, Roy McMillan are great receiver prospects. Harold Perkins, I think, is actually an off-ball linebacker, and those guys just typically don't go early, at least not top 5, top 1 picks in the draft.